Hey guys, new video for Path of Exile. So in this video we're going to go over the patch notes for 3.25. The patch notes dropped just today for me, woke up and saw them, and there has been quite a few changes for Armor Stacker. So this video is going to go over mainly the Armor Stacker changes, and there is quite a few, so let's jump right into it. First of all, we have a Grace Determination nerf. We already kind of saw previews of this before, but basically the flat armor, flat evasion on Grace and Determination has been pretty much cut in half. It's quite big because the flat evasion on Grace was one of the main sources of armor for the armor stackers, right? We scaled the Grace levels and aura effect really high to get that well, the more evasion and then also the, flat evasion, because flat evasion is one of the main reasons why Armor Stacker is getting these insane armor values. So overall, armor numbers are pretty much going to be cut in like by 40% or so, give or take, right? It's kind of hard to do the exact numbers without a working POB with all the updates, but hopefully when we get the updated POB, we can do some better calculations, that kind of stuff. But just kind of looking at the numbers, that's kind of what it seems like. Now a lot of people see this and they're like, oh my god, Armor Stacker's dead, Determination nerfed. Well, first of all, Determination nerf doesn't really do anything because the flat armor doesn't really do anything anyways. But the Grace nerf is definitely doing something. So losing a lot of armor and in turn losing a lot of damage. But, the melee skills got a buff at the same time. Some of them being quite ridiculous, right? The added damage effectiveness got buffed, which is like the best thing to buff, right? Because as an armor stacker, we are scaling our Wrath and Smite auras to give us tons of flat added lightning damage. So pretty much just from that, we're just getting like double damage, if not more, from the base added damage effectiveness. Like Vol Smite, Vol Smite has like 750% effectiveness added damage, which is just insane, right? Definitely, like, damage is going to be definitely fine because of these melee skill changes. You're going to be getting quite a lot of damage just from that. So I think overall the Grace nerf and the melee skill buff kind of, the melee skill buff counteracts the Grace nerf. So overall damage is going to be, pretty good, if not better than before. All right, so this next one is a big one, is the physical damage taken as and armor applies to elemental damage has been removed. Well, physical damage taken as hasn't been removed, but it is going to be impossible to get up to 100% physical damage taken as elemental or chaos, like they said in the interview. It's kind of hard to say too, because, well, they did say in the interview that it is going to be impossible to get it, but at the same time, they haven't really shown all the numbers exactly. So they removed like the Watcher's Eye mods for the PTA is gone. The Delve mods are gone. The Betrayal mods are gone, but stuff like Lightning Coil, Cloak of Flame, the shield from the Exarch shield, that's still there. The well, Taste of Hate's gone. Thank God. I really hated that flask. They added some new affixes for body armors, like Eldritch Implicits that can roll it, but they don't really show the ranges of those, so it's kind of hard to see if we can actually get to up to 100. But they did say you cannot do it anymore, so I'm guessing that you can't, which means Transcendence builds are pretty much just gone, dead. So that's really not going to work. And also the armor applies basically means that Marauder's elemental damage mitigation from Juggernaut is also gone. All right, so after hearing this, you might be thinking, holy shit, well, Armor Stacker is definitely then dead because you don't have the defenses, right? But yeah, there is other ways to get defenses, and most notably is the endurance charge buff. So they changed endurance charges this patch, and endurance charges are now going to be giving 4% reduced elemental damage taken per charge. So this combined with spell suppression and a healthy amount of energy shield, which we'll go into later. Well, they actually buffed base energy shield on items and stuff, so it is going to be easier to get higher energy shield. So like, for example, it's like this, this is kind of like real early days calculations, scuffed setups and that kind of stuff, but with about like 6k ES 4 endurance charges, and 100% spell suppression, you're going to be getting around 200k max hit with your Molten Shell up, which is pretty much the same as a character running the Armor applies to elemental damage with, with like 2-3 million armor. So basically this, I think this is going to be sort of like the next defense meta for this patch is endurance charge, 90 max res, and spell suppression. Those three, that's going to be like the holy trinity. And they're probably going to be, everyone's going to be running endurance charges so much that they're probably going to nerf endurance charges next league, I'm pretty sure. But that's pretty much going to be the way to build defenses on your character, or at least like, a good base defense for your character. It's going to be endurance charges, spell suppression, and then high max res. That is going to be one way to build defenses on your character, and I actually do kind of like this way better because, well, I don't like building spell suppression, but at the same time, this opens up a lot of different build possibilities, right? Because before, if you wanted to get tanky, you had to either build Marauder with damage applies, armor applies elemental damage, or you go Transcendence. Those are like your only two options. Well, now you can't really, maybe you can actually reach, insanely tanky levels like Transcendence, but, 200k max hit with your guard skill up is very, very good. I mean, that's like totally fine to do like follows and that kind of stuff. So I'm actually pretty happy with this because that means you don't have to build Transcendence, which means you can run 2 swords, build tons of damage, and have a good time doing that. So overall, I actually kind of like the changes, oddly enough. It is kind of sad, but you just kind of have to build differently now, right? So a lot of things are still, we're still cooking up the builds and the ideas, and yeah, once we get POB, I'll probably be able to put out some kind of rough idea, theory crafted ideas for you guys. But for now, I don't really think I have anything that I would like to show off until, POB is updated. Okay, so item bases, energy shield evasion buffed. So item bases basically just got a buff. So basically just more energy shield, more evasion, more life, more armor. So that's really nice. Going to help you to get those very high EHP numbers by also increasing your health, right? Oddly enough, right? Who would have thought, right? A good way to increase your max hit is to increase your HP. Wow. I mean, so that's kind of nice, right? Okay, inspiration nerf, right? So this is a big one, and it might have slipped under the radar for some people, but inspiration got changed. So now it's not like it used to be reduced mana cost of skills, which you could kind of combine with other reduced mana cost of skill affixes from like passives, the passive tree, or on gear and that kind of stuff, and only get a total of 100% reduced to reduce the mana cost of Divine Blessing in something like March of the Legion. And then you could actually cast your Divine Blessing aura, the Grace aura, right, or whatever you had there. Now, since it's a less mana cost, that applies after the reduced mana cost. So you're not going to be able to get a 0 mana cost Divine Blessing unless you get another 40% else from somewhere, which is probably possible, but at the same time, is it even really worth doing that, right? At some point you kind of have to think that, well, am I going to be spending like 10 passive points prioritizing gear affixes for this reduced mana cost of skills, getting implicits, synth implicits, just so I can do this, getting mirrored small clusters with implicits just so I can reduce my mana cost? No, like at some point it just gets too much, right? It's too much trouble, too much hassle to get it to work, that you're better off just taking the loss and doing a lot of other things, which I think might be the better way to go. Skipping out March of the Legion, getting a rare pair of boots, or maybe some other kind of unique boots, and just building something else, right? Because that opens up a lot of passive skills. You don't have to get the reduced mana cost of skills. You don't have to do a lot of that stuff on your implicits, your rings, all that stuff. You don't have to worry about that anymore. And then you can use stuff like Original Sin and Animus together and still have a good time doing that. You can also get Tailwind boots, which is kind of cool. First time in the history of Armor Sacker, right? You get Tailwind. But anyway, so a lot of cool changes. So Inspiration, Nerf, March of the Legion might be dead completely now. I mean, I don't want to use it. I think I'm actually even planning my League Start, or not League Start, but my Simulacrum farming build is probably not going to be even using March of the Legion, which means we don't have to click Divine Blessing anymore. Thank God. All right. Okay, so that's kind of a little rant about inspiration. There's some new enchants. I didn't really get to see a lot of them, or I don't think they have. I don't think they released all of them, but that's going to be adding some extra power, so definitely keep an eye out for those when we know what they are. Then there's the Calandra thing, so we can make inverted gear again, which means, you know, Doriani's prototype going to be even stronger early on, getting, you know, the cap of minus 200 lightning res to get, you know, quite a lot of extra damage. So that's going to be kind of nice for anyone who is going to be playing the prototype build. And that pretty much just sums up the changes. I think, you know, there's some other things in the patch notes, ascendancy changes and this kind of stuff, but the main changes that are going to be impacting Armor Stacker are what we went over here. Basically, Grace, Determination, Nerf, but melee skills buffed, so that kind of counteracts the damage loss. PTA armor applies gone, which means pretty much Transcendence rip. And then endurance charge buff, you know, endurance charge meta basically, and then item bases buff, so everyone gets more HP. Inspiration nerf, so March of the Legion maybe finally dead, and then that's pretty much it. But anyways, yeah, once PLB is updated, we'll start cooking with the new builds, and then hopefully post them in the Armor Stacker Compendium, and maybe make a video about them and how it's going to work, that kind of stuff. But till then, stay tuned, and thanks for watching, guys. See you next time.